And we are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Moms, the number 4 Trans Kids podcast. Me llamo Doctora Lulu. I'm a pediatrician and a life coach. I'm a gender and sexuality life coach and a mom of a trans kid. And I am here with 2 friends today to poke a hole in all of the myths, misconceptions, disinformation, and misinformation of around just floating around about being queer in today's world. For those of you who do not know me, yes, I'm a real doctor. Yes, I promise you, I'm an agitator of the governor of Georgia because somebody has to do it. And unfortunately, today, none of my usual suspects is here with me. Not Kim, not Chelsea, and of course, not Ellen. But I'm here with 2 friends from the Future Perfect Project. Hi, Vicky. Oh my God. Hi, Vicky. Vicky was one of the founding co-hosts of this podcast. Hi, Vicky. Vicky's joining us from LinkedIn. Hey, Mama Sita. Hey, Mama Beast. How are you? Vicky, we today's the youth episode. We have a youth with us today. Who would have thought? So fun. So let's start with Sam. Sam, tell us a little bit about you and why did you decide to come on the show?
Okay, hi. My name is Simmons Moss Jr. I'm 19 years old. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I think when I got the offer to come on the show, and I watched your TED Talk, it touched me very, very deeply as a queer person, as a Black person who's also kind of in the midst of like figuring out their non-cis trans identity. There was such compelling language and thoughts that you were talking about, and I just was really, really excited to get to speak to you and get to hear like your mind in person.
Thank you so much. And Kim is giving y'all so much love and so many flowers. I mean, not Kim, Vicky. Vicky says, who would have thought, right, that we'll have youth on the show? We have really grown. For those of you who do not know about the show, we were featured on UK Black Pride last week. And so I was in London last week because the podcast was featured on UK Black Pride. So our little podcast can. Thank you so much. And welcome to the show, Trudy. So we're going to go to all the youth first. So Trudy, welcome to the show. Me llamo Doctora Luli. Nice to meet you. Tell us, why did you decide to come on the show?
Yeah, hi. I'm so happy to be here. I was so excited to hear about the show and the opportunity. As someone who has a mom of a trans kid, I think I was especially excited. And yeah, it was so great to watch your TED Talk and the ideas you were exploring there. And I was just so excited to come on.
Which TED Talk did y'all watch, by the way? I mean, I'm just curious. This is me being curious. Which one did you watch, Sam?
I watched the one that's not coming out, but inviting in.
Oh, okay. That was my Rethinking the Closet one. Okay, good. What about you, Trudy?
I believe I watched the same one.
Okay, so there's the first one is titled Childhood Trauma and What You Can Do to Help. And then the third one is the one that I thought you would watch because it's called Let the Children Lead, Parenting as Students. And that was the one about where I introduced the gender and the gender identity concept and why parents should not be assigning gender at birth and why they should allow their kids to lead them, to show them who they are and all that. But yeah, so y'all go check out the TED Talks and then tell me what you think about it.
Definitely.
And then of course the show would not go on if not for Celeste, who I don't remember. Celeste, how did we meet and how did our paths cross?
Because of your podcast. I heard your podcast and I was just, I think that there's so much out there about the difficulty of being a queer young person and the difficulty of being a queer parent, a parent of queer youth, that it's so wonderful and always worth lifting up when you hear a voice that's out there saying, this is about love.
It's about love. It's all about
This is about
love.
joy. This is about making more space for the joy and love in our lives and in the lives of the people that we love. So I really just went online and looked for podcasts because I think the moms are killing it in terms of supporting their queer kids. They're telling the authorities, no way are you going to mess with our kids. And I
Yes,
think
you have
that
to come through us. You have to come through us.
I love this whole thing you have going on with Mama Beast. I
Oh,
love
honey,
the
let me
whole
tell
Mama
you.
Beast thing too.
Let me tell you, I am actually trademarking Mama Beast as my official pronoun. So yes, and Vicky says unconditional love. Yes, it's all about love. I think one of the things that most of the parents that come to me is like, it's like, save me, my child is drowning. Right? Listen, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Save me, my child is drowning. A lot of them think that the problem is the child, but then they make it about them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's how I felt. I was them and they are me. And they are how I was. And so I definitely I'm a very practical person. I will snatch your edges and make you wake up and realize that it's not about you as you navigate the journey. So let's talk to Sam. So Sam, really quickly, do you want to share your story with us? Do you want to tell us how did your parents respond as opposed to react to, your journey and the people around you and all that? And then we'll go to Trudy next.
Yes. Okay, so I have a well, I mean, I don't know, maybe it is like a relatable story, but to me it's a little out there. But I like to think that like I've always been myself and I've never changed and I've never like been in the closet. So I was a little kid who loved musical theater, and I loved Dreamgirls, and I loved The Wiz, and I was a singer and a dancer, and I pranced around, and like it was never an issue until I got to like the age of like, so that second grade, third grade age. I started going to summer camp, and that was the first time I had ever been called like a sissy or the F slur or been made to feel different because I was different. And at the time, I did not know that being gay was a thing. Like, it was my first time hearing the word gay ever, and it was in this negative context. So I thought it was just an insult. I didn't think it was like a thing that like I could be. I just thought it was like, no, like it's just an insult. And when I was in the fourth grade, my mom said I think we were on the way to school. Me and my mom had a conversation, and she asked me if I was queer. And I told her no, because I didn't know. And she told me that she was queer, and she had a girlfriend who eventually became her wife. And she told me that, if I was okay, if not, it's fine, whatever. And then that was that conversation. And then in fifth grade, I developed a crush on this boy Sammy. And that's when I realized that I like boys, and then I originally came out as bisexual. But when I got to sixth grade, I realized I was gay, and like I said, I never like to say that I was like ever in the closet, because once I knew, everyone knew, because I didn't feel a need to be in the closet, and I was still me. I was still the same person I always was. And yeah, and that was that experience. And then I didn't come out to my dad until I think I was a sophomore in high school. And just me and my dad didn't live in the same house. Like kind of absent. So when I was a sophomore in high school, I think my mom kind of like started the conversation, and then I told him, and he told me that, of course, he still loves me. And he was saying, because I'm also a junior, like I'm Samuel Smalls junior, he's Samuel Smalls senior. And he was saying that he had like an idea that he had built for his firstborn son and the life that I would lead. And he was kind of prepared for this conversation. He said that like he had to let go of that that idea and that like want from me, because I was never into basketball, and he tried to get me to basketball. I was never into basketball. But like he had to let go of that like want of like where he wanted my life to lead, and to let me be me. And That's been my experience. I think I luckily enough, like I did deal with bullying a lot when I was younger, but I think once I figured out who I was, you can't bully me with something that I wear like a F on my chest. So I think that is where I was lucky, and I luckily had parents that accepted me. I think being a queer Black boy in Florida or in the South comes with its own issues, but I think for the most part I've been pretty lucky. Yeah, that's my experience.
I love it. I love everything about it. I feel like you were my child. Actually, we have you have similar stories. They when I asked my kid if they thought they were gay, they said, "Mom, I don't know. I'm not sure." And a lot of times I tell parents, I said, "That's what you get when you put the kid in the corner. Not because the child is not sure, but because they don't know how you're going to respond. So they go with, I'm not sure." So it's kind of like a little vague. Was that your reason for saying you didn't know, or you're not sure, or you truly not sure?
I truly when she asked me, it was my first time that I had heard that being gay was a thing that I could be. So I had no idea, and at that point I had never felt attraction for a boy. And I look back and I was like, I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely had a crush on Nick Jonas. I just thought I wanted to be Nick Jonas, but like I definitely had a crush on Nick Jonas, and like things like that. I look back and I realized, oh yeah, no, it was the signs were there, but I was completely unaware of them. And then once I was aware, I was there.
All right, welcome to Shay Smith. Hey sis, what up? Welcome to the show. So today we are talking to our youth. I am so thankful to Celeste. Honestly, I was giddy with excitement when today finally came, because finally we get to hear from the other side. The moms on the show, we try to celebrate parenting as much as we can. And I tell people, I said, it is hard, but it is doable. And it's not even that hard if you just think about it as the same child you were parenting yesterday. Period. That's it. But that said, the world, society wants to make it hard. So why don't we? But it's really not that hard because it's the same kid. That said, there are people like your father who, like my dad, had expectations and preconceived notions and what they wanted for their children to be. So I'm going to come back and ask you, how did you navigate that with your dad? Deep questions. How did you navigate that with your dad? As we scoot over to Trudy to ask Trudy, if you don't mind sharing your gender, sexuality, where are you on the spectrum, if you don't mind, because for some reason, nobody's pronouns are showing today. Okay, at the bottom they're showing, but not at the top. I don't know why people can't see them. But anyway, so Trudy, tell us your story. How did you come into this space, working with and alongside Sam on the podcast and all that? We'll talk about that later on. And actually, Vicky has some. Trudy, I'm going to let you read what Vicky has written, and then you can go on and answer.
Sure. Vicky has said, we, the parents, must let go of attachments to a future for our children that were simply not our children's truth. Goodness, that applies to our cis and trans kids. I would agree.
Yes!
With that. Yeah.
Looking like a true mama beast. Yes. Vicky, I love you. Here's some flowers. But yes, that is so true. It's the expectation problem. Really, that's what the name of the queer community should be. We are the expectation problem. With the result of mal expectations. Yeah. Okay. So Trudy, tell us, what's your story?
Yeah. So I use they them pronouns. I'm non-binary, and I'd come out pretty early. I came out probably around 4th or 5th grade, and there was no representation for non-binary people when I came out. So I didn't know what was going on. I mean, I know that like being called she didn't feel right, but it's like when you don't grow up with any representation of people who are exploring different options or live a different, like use a different identity or pronouns than are assigned to you at birth, then you really have little idea, but I just knew like this didn't feel right. And so one day I was in the car it's always in the car. Like I empathize with Sam. They're always driving somewhere and you're just glad they don't get into a car wreck when you tell them, honestly.
Yes.
But yeah, I was in the car with my mom and she was driving somewhere and she had said something very normal, but had used like she, her pronouns, obviously, because, I was a kid. So, that's what we were working with. And then I was like, and I got angry. I was like, no, not she. And she's like, I'm not a she. And she's like, are you a he? And I was like, I'm not she. I'm not he. I'm just Trudy. And like, that is like, honestly, truly how I feel now. I mean, if someone had like, let's say made like a recreation of a movie, I'd say like, that's a really cheesy line, but it is how I feel. Like, I don't feel like, I identify with she, her pronouns. I don't feel like I identify with he, him pronouns. And I feel like for me, something that I feel like isn't even talked about all the time is like, sometimes I feel like using they, them pronouns is like a compromise of being like within the system that is built when like, I don't even truly feel like, yes, this is like the perfect fit for me, right? But it's like way better than the other options. And yeah, so that's my story. And I got involved with FPP through Julie Novak and through applying to be a part of the I'm Feeling Queer Today podcast. So yeah, absolutely. And so now flash forward, and there's definitely a lot more representation, a lot more options, I think, that are shown to kids. But back when I came out, I was one and only for sure, like in my class, in my school, like, and at the time it was really just like trying to find like some obscure, maybe like message boards or like something that had people's experiences, or like, I think the Trevor Project had stuff I was like looking at. Honestly, I was like looking at like all these different communities because that's really what was out there. I think especially being raised in like a cisgendered family, it's like nobody knows better. So yeah. But then I think it's like my parents were pretty accepting off the jump. I think it was mostly, if anything, just not like having any context for what I was going through and trying to figure out like what's happening. But I think it is a thing of like, when you're a kid, I think what I learned throughout coming out to my family is that like, we're really discouraged from being curious about identity, whether it's having to do with us or, their kids. Right. So I think like what I had experienced sometimes when I was coming out was not that people hated me or, but truly that they didn't understand, but they were told themselves that they just need to accept what they're given. And so I think that same logic gets applied to a lot of trans queer youth. So yeah, absolutely.
Wow, what a powerful, first of all, I love the power in your voice. I'm a speaker. I used to be a commander in the U.S. Air Force. I absolutely love the power in your voice. You've got a speaker's voice. That's one. But also, I'm not she, I'm not he, I'm just Trudy is the title of a book. As an author, I'm working on my 8th book. I'm always thinking about titles of books. That is the title of your book, baby. That is so powerful. Own it. It is true. It is who you are. You're just Trudy. And, people can get on with the boat or they cannot get on with the boat. It is what it is. You said what you said. So I love that. Congratulations on finding yourself and being so young when you found yourself. And I'm sure Sam agrees with us that most people who are in the queer space, we know when we're very young. We just don't know how to communicate. And unfortunately, the world wants to bamboozle us when we do try to communicate. So Celeste, I'm a hop on to you as the person who created this space. But before we do that, the show is called Moms, the number 4 Trans Kids podcast. We are Mama Bisa. We truly don't give a fuck. And we do that. We say that a lot on the show. We don't give a fuck about how you feel about us affirming our kids. We love our kids and there's nothing you can do about it. That said, if you're a parent and you're feeling some kind of way, I hear you. It's real. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's not real, the feelings that you have. But like Vicky just said, you got to let go and let your kid be who they are. Because if you are not the parent of that child will still be queer. promise. All right, Celeste, over to you. Talk to us. So you reached out to me. Is that what you're saying? Because I can't remember.
I did reach out to you because you're so amazing and because you're doing the really good work of supporting other moms who are struggling to be able to accept their perfectly made children.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that it would be wonderful really to have some of the young people on our podcast, on your podcast, to really talk about their experience as is happening right now. I think, the reason that we called it the Future Perfect Project is because we really believe that their self-expression is a declaration of a better future for everybody, because that future that they are living in really already is one in which everyone gets to be themselves. And so, they've taught me so much about, just coming into my own queerness, like when I started the Trevor Project 26 years ago, we started the Trevor Project. It was really just for gay and lesbian young people. And for those of your listeners who don't know the Trevor Project, and by the way, Trudy, I never knew that. The idea of you as a 6th grader going to the Trevor Project to, find out who you are, it makes me so happy. And that you are now involved in the Future Perfect Project. I don't know where we're going next, but I hope you'll come with us.
Amen. Amen.
But, when we started the Trevor Project 26 years ago, there weren't, the idea of a trans young person didn't exist.
Yes.
The idea of non-binary it existed, but it wasn't a thing. And I think that one of the things that we have to do, even queer people, is we have to let go of attachments that we have about what it means to be queer. These young people taught me that I was non-binary. I was hanging out with the gay men for 40 years of my life. And really it was just by being on the Zooms with these young people and watching them change their names and their pronouns, and that I started to go, wait, if I was 16 or 17 years old, that's what I would do. That's who I would be. Like, there wasn't a name for it then. There wasn't a space for me in those days. And with their encouragement, really literally saying, like, yes, I changed my name, I changed my pronouns. And, I think that there's room for everybody to be more current with what's happening, right? Like, young people are really living in a future that hasn't yet arrived. They can see it. They're living in it. And we're living in an old world, right? And not everybody wants to give up that old world. But I do.
Yeah. Oh my God. So powerful. Oh my God. I die for my quotes. I die for my quotes. So we have to let go of attachments around what it means to be queer. And I truly said, we are often discouraged about exploring identity. That is so powerful. And of course, they said, I'm not she, I'm not he, I'm just Trudy. Sam said, I didn't know. And then Sam also said something about thinking initially that they were gay and then coming out as bisexual. I cannot wait to explore all of these. And then they are living in a future that has not yet arrived. It's funny we're talking about this to you and these beautiful human beings today, because for those of you who know my story, you know that in June of 2024, I invited people into my pansexual world. And I was so excited about that. I was like, wait, because growing up, I thought I was lesbian. I went to an all-girls high school. It was a boarding school. And so there were lots and lots and lots of girls. And I thought it was, then when I got home for vacation, I was like, wait, but I like boys. And wait, so do I like boys or do I like girls? What am I? But the word I had was lesbian. That was what I had available to me at 11 when I was in high school. And yes, in Nigeria, you go to high school at 11. And I was like, well, but I don't really fit in. I don't know. It doesn't feel so right, but okay, whatever. And then I got to med school. I was like, wait, there's bisexual? That's me. And then last year, as I always say, I met Monique. Monique walked in like a gazelle and just took my heart and just did a SpongeBob thing with it. And I was like, help, help, save me. And then she was like, and I am trans. I'm like, wait, what? I'm attracted to a trans person? Who am I? You know? And then I was like, yeah, it's just a fluke. It's a fluke. It can't be real. And then this past May, I met him. And he's trans. And I'm like, I'm pansexual, you know? So I want to tell people that it is okay to just lean in and allow and just become seaweed and just allow all the things. And then I realized I'm also sapiosexual. And wait a minute, I'm also demisexual. Like, what else am I? Just allow yourself to just explore. It's so beautiful. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say. So coming back to Sam. So Sam, tell us, if you will, how did you navigate going from gay to bisexual, and then how did you get your dad to fully come into affirming? And some of the people that don't know, I've realized that the word acceptance is what parents ask me, but truly the person that needs to be accepted is the parent, so that they need to accept themselves so that they can affirm their kids. So I learned the word affirm from my trans child, and I didn't understand what it meant until it came to me earlier this year that yes, affirming is everything, is a sum total of all the things you do to make your child feel validated in their real self. So I was like, okay, so you have to accept yourself in order to do that. So Sam, tell us, how did you navigate gay to bi, and where are you today? And how did you get your dad, your Black father, to do the unthinkable?
Okay, so I've always been a firm believer that sexuality is a spectrum and nobody falls on one end or the other. It's just it's kind of like you have an acceptance of you have an acceptance of the fact that it is a spectrum, and that's what makes you queer. Or makes you identify as queer. And so I identified as gay for since I was in the 6th grade. Well, at first I identified as bisexual because at the time that I had a crush on Sammy, I had a girlfriend and I was in the 4th grade. So, or the 5th grade. And so I thought I was bisexual. And the first person I ever came out to, my best friend Jose at the time, he actually told me that being bisexual was a thing. I was like, okay, so I think I like Sammy. He's like, oh, so you're bisexual? I was like, what's that? He was like, you like girls and boys. I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay.
And then I got to 6th grade. I had a new girlfriend, 2 of them in the same.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's time.
Okay, Casanova. Okay.
And by the second one, I was like, I don't know if this does not make me feel the same way that Sammy does or Sammy did. And so I was like, okay, so maybe I don't like girls. And so I identified as gay. And up until this, I just finished my first year of college at the University of the Arts, and at the former University of the Arts. And I during that time I was in a very, very queer space. And I think two things kind of light bulb in my head. One, I don't identify as a man. I think that I've always been outside of the box of what it means to be a man. And I've always I took sociology in high school, and I knew that gender was a social construct, and that first started the wheel spinning. I've also always been a strong advocate of the trans community. But I personally identify as trans. But over this past year, I was like, okay, so maybe I was advocating because I was actually agreeing, and I was actually seeing myself in the people that I was advocating for. And so I never been in the box that a man is supposed to be in. And knowing the gender social construct, I realized that I don't know if non-binary is the word. I had a teacher that was gender non-conforming, and so I think it's somewhere in that area where I'm just like Trudy said, I'm just Sam. And I think that
yes.
I'm very aware of my male body and the privilege that gives me as an actor. I think there are certain roles that I would not do that I think are made for someone of the like the female bodied experience.
Mhm.
But like I'm also aware that I'm not a man. And so my pronouns are any pronouns. And like that's just who I am. But I've also realized that maybe I don't see girls in the same way that I see boys. But I also not sure if I'm not interested in girls at all. And so
I love everything that I'm hearing, Sam. It's so beautiful. And this is what we cannot, those of us who insist that humans are monolithic,
yes.
they are missing out on the beauty of,
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, I like shoes, but sometimes I just want to wear footwear. You know what? Barefoot is not too bad. Okay, I'll take the
Ding,
clogs.
ding, ding.
Wait. Stilettos. That's it. No, wait. Flats or
Exactly.
nothing. You know, it's so
Exactly.
beautiful how you have refused to be put in. And by the way, you should totally become a speaker in queer spaces because you're a rare unicorn. You're already a unicorn, but you're even rarer. Black voices of male experience, Black voices of neither male nor female, but mostly male experience with then the sexuality bit. You, my love, you have to speak at one of my conferences when I make it because I'm
Love to
going
hear.
to. And that said, I love the way I want parents to hear you saying, but you know what? And then maybe not, because it's true.
Mm.
But you just also confirmed something that I've always said. Most intense homophobes are closeted gays, but also most intense allies are queer.
Mm.
That makes all of us queer. We're
I think
all,
everyone is to some degree.
yes. Why can't we all just be pansexual and just call it a day? Okay, so good, so good. I've always been outside the box of what it means to be a man. That is a profound statement coming from a Black human. Thank you for your wisdom, for your honesty, for your vulnerability, for the transparency that it takes to say that in today's world, living in Florida.
Mm.
I love you. I love you. I love you. Did you want to add something else before we scoot on to Trudy?
No. Oh, just the thing about my dad.
Yeah, about your dad. Oh, yes, about your dad, please.
So I think the biggest shift happened because, like I said, my dad has been kind of absent for the majority of my life. But in my senior year of high school, which was a very, very vital year because I had just transferred from a pre-law program into a performing arts one because I had spent a whole life set up to be a lawyer. That's not what I wanted to do. That's a whole other story. But very, very, very trying time, a very like intense time of my life. Also, my mom and my stepmom had just split, and she had been in my life since I was in the third grade. My mom I started living with my dad. Me and my little brother started living with my dad in my senior year. And I always equated it to living with a stranger with the same name and face as me. And it was very crazy because my mom was my best friend. My mom has been here through grades 1 through 11 and she knows me and we have inside jokes and everything. And so it was kind of like having to teach my dad about me, and while in the midst of my senior year, now I have to go to state competition. I have to go to New York in January to go to unified auditions, and all of these things are like coming at him at once, and he adapted. And I think it was like at the hour I needed him the most.
The most, yes.
And even now, with I used to go to the University of the Arts, but it abruptly closed in June. I think with a week's notice after I completed my first year, and so this summer has been a whirlwind, and my dad has been like my super soldier through it. And like he even took me to go get my nails done and my haircut literally yesterday.
I'm sending him. Wait, hold up. True talk. Your dad is gonna get a copy of my book.
It's beautiful.
Can you see it?
Yes, I see it.
About your Black transgender child, answers to most of your burning questions. Your dad is getting a book. I love him already. Matter of fact, I'm going to toss in a bonus book. Bam. No, just kidding. I'll toss in this book when it's ready. Invited In, How to Become the Parent Your Queer Child Needs. Why not? This is so cool. Yes, he deserves it. He gets flowers from me. All right. Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we love your dad on the show. Matter of fact, I'm going to go to the next level and ask him to come on the show. So Sammy, could you talk to your dad, please?
I can ask.
I would love to have a Black father on the show. We ain't had any yet, because just not coming.
He can be a celebrity.
Yes, he will be. He will be. And actually, I have more things I want him to do, because we're also writing a book and we're doing all the things. So we're going to talk about that later. Yes. So Trudy, coming back to you. Oh my God, what just a fun show. Whew, Trudy. How did you navigate growing up and obviously owning your shit, as we say on this show? How did you navigate all of that with a background of a girl experience, or rather being socialized as a girl, because that's what indoctrinated is what I want to say as a girl. How did you end up, how are you navigating it even right now, currently speaking?
Yeah, I think for me, something that I've learned is that
Wait, hold on. Somebody has an alarm.
Oh, I think that's in the background of my. 1 second. I'll hold for 2 seconds. Can you hear it still? I think it went off.
It's gone.
Okay. I think
and
that's
my IT guy will edit that piece, but I didn't want the alarm to. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think something I've learned is that I like the word indoctrinated, because I think like socialized is too gentle, because it wasn't my choice. You know what I mean? Like it's almost saying like it goes along, I think, with like quote unquote girlhood, because it's like everything is flowers and daisies and la 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 la, and it's like, no, like I didn't want to be raised this way. Like this isn't who I am. And but I think it's like you have to. I think something that I found even after coming out is that it's like you need to have a gentleness to your identity, and the way you approach people about it and come out is something that I felt I had to do, even though in my personal opinion, it's like I would put accommodating other people before protecting myself, I think, emotionally a lot of the time. Because I think, as you can imagine, when you're coming out, but people have no idea what you're talking about, it's like they might as well be meeting the boogeyman. They're like, who are you? And what do you want? Kind of thing.
Yeah, and don't come too close to me, because I might catch it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Like, yes. Like, don't come too close. I might catch your agenda. Like, what?
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where you know, I think growing up in school, it's the type of thing where someone you'd never really talk to would come up to you and be like, I have questions for you. And you'd be like, what's your name again? And you're like, what are you talking about? But I think that something that I found is that being raised as a girl, it's like I felt as if I had to be the teacher for so many people growing up about like who I was and how to like treat people like me, when I think what you're doing is so great, because it's saying like the kid doesn't have to be the one to make people accept them. There should be people around them who are saying, no, you have to treat my kid a certain way. Like, I don't accept this, you know, and this is how you do this. And Google is free. You know, it shouldn't have to be the kid who's saying, this is my identity, this is how I should be treated, because that's not really a kid's role, and it shouldn't be. It's not age appropriate. And so I think something that I found growing up a lot was that I would have to explain to teachers. And I think even with having my parents behind me, it's like when you're in school, they're not standing by you all the time. It's like you're on your own for a lot of the day. So I think coming home to a safe environment was great, because you know, it's like the world is already unsafe enough, I think, as an LGBTQ plus person. So but I think I've gone on kind of, I guess, a trip from being socialized to be, or indoctrinated to be a teacher kind of, and to be to have like positive feelings towards everyone I'm interacting with, even if they aren't kind to me about my identity. You know, I still have to kind of have this, like, I felt like I had to have this outward shell so I wasn't written off, you know, because of who I was. Or I had this idea that I could prevent like a bigger level of systemic oppression on my own individual scale, which just isn't true, you know? And so something I think I've had to kind of decode is like, I can be a kind person. I can be who I am, and not everybody's going to like me, and I can't control that. Like, and if someone's going to write me off for identity, I don't think I really wanted to be friends with them in the first place. You know, honestly, like, I don't want to be friends with people like that. So I think that for me, it's been kind of about restructuring my view on that. I think also I recently went to Columbus, Ohio with FPP to work with kids there. And I think being there with all the kids, it's amazing how someone who's even just a couple years younger, I'm 19, so I'm still young, obviously, but even just being there with kids who are a couple of years younger than you, like hearing their experiences and their point of view, I think it gives me so much hope, and also makes me feel like, oh, wait, these kids are like who I was. I didn't do anything wrong. I was just being me. And they're going through the same things I was going through, you know, getting bullied, feeling like the world is against them. And I think the legislation is a newer piece of it, because there wasn't even enough knowledge around that to have this kind of terrible legislation going around. But I think that seeing this, it's like, oh, there was nothing wrong with me. And I feel like really confirmed about that and really validated around that, working with kids, working with adolescents, trans people, and being like, this is just the way the world is, and like you can only control so much, but like the biggest thing you can do for yourself is making sure that you have those pillars of people who are there to support you, and like you can be your full self with them, because I think that that goes such a long way when you have to be out in the rest of the world, which isn't always as accepting.
Can I just drop a mic? I love it. I'm done. We can just end the show now. Profound, everything you're saying. Profound. While you were talking, I was scrolling like a maniac because I was trying to find a post I made 3 days ago that said, parents, it's not your child's responsibility to teach you who they are. It's your responsibility to learn who your child is. I was trying to find it while you were talking, and I was like, oh my God, thank you. And I think the beautiful thing about what you just said is, even though those kids, even though you're only 2 years older than them, they can see you. So they can see that there's 2 years ahead. Because some kids tell me that we can't even see ourselves being alive next week. I mean, every single day I hear somebody, I didn't want to say this, but I heard that there was a kid that was unlived in Denton, Texas last week for being gender non-conforming. My baby was accepted to UNT Denton on a presidential scholarship. You know, it's like Texas is, I mean, these legislations, they hurt real human beings. Real people get unlived every effing day because of insensitivity and lack of knowledge. And that's why I will use my last breath to keep going to the Capitol to speak as long as they give me a mic. You know, and that's why it's like Celeste said at the beginning, yes, it's 4 years. And sometimes I have to look and say, yes, it's only been 4 years. But how long does it take to become an activist? It took me 21 days of laying in fetal position. I was like, okay, this kid says this is who they are. Time to roll up my sleeves and get busy. And I see Kim has joined. Hi, Kimmy. Kim has joined. Kim is also one of the co-hosts, and I think they were wowing at the things you were saying.
Oh, thank you. I just want to add on to what you were saying really quickly. And also, I think a lot of the arguments that are being made these days, or things I've been seeing, is about, well, kids don't know what they're talking about, XYZ, something like that. And if they don't, it's not a deficit to change your identity or to explore other options. Because to say that would be implying that there's something wrong with being in the community, and there isn't. It's like, even if it's like a kid has the bravery to say, I'm not sure this is who I am, and then they come back to the identity they had before, There's nothing wrong with that. And I think
That's
that,
what
like,
Kim says
yeah.
every day. Like, okay, so teenagers change their minds every day anyway. Like, it's like, okay, I wanted brown hair color, but now I think I want blue. It's hair color.
Yeah, who cares?
What you said is so powerful because I say this, what I do, the work that I do is standing in the gap of what the child says and what the parent heard. Mom, I'm a lesbian is not mom, I'm having sex. Mom, I'm bisexual is not mom, I'm promiscuous. Mom, I'm transgender is not mom, I want my genitals cut off. Like kids are saying things and parents are hearing other things. So I love what you just said. So the child says, well, I think I might be, I may be the whole space, because, and if they say, well, I'm not, okay, nothing changes. It's the same child with the same heartbeat. Oh, I cannot, I can't. And Kim says, I'm standing on my chair, I'm clapping. Kim is one of my co-hostesses saying that.
Yeah.
And it's like how, and then when it's almost too late, oh yeah, thoughts and prayers. No, we're not thoughting any prayer. So we're on the last quarter of the show. The show is called Moms, the number 4 Trans Kids. And if you missed today's episode, I don't know what to tell you because this has been so profound, hearing from the children. I want to put out a request to Celeste before I have Celeste come and bring us home. Is it possible to have these children, okay, I say children because I'm a pediatrician, but to have these youth come back like a year from now for like the anniversary of their episode? Is that okay? As the owner of the show, I want this to happen. Like this time next year, come back and say, kind of like a where are they now kind of thing. Because I'm just so, I love everything I'm hearing. I don't want it to end.
Yes, that's up to them, but we'll extend the invitation, of course, if that's something you want to do. And I just want to say that, we just released the first season of the podcast, I'm Feeling Queer Today, which is available on all platforms.
Hold on, Celeste, 1 second. I'm going to ask either Kim or Vicky to please write the name of your podcast so I can post it. So it's called I Am Feeling Queer Today.
I'm Feeling Queer Today.
Okay,
exclamation point.
Exclamation point, yeah. So Kim or Vicky, please write that down so I can post it here. And Kim and Vicky are giving each other some love. So I'm just gonna go back and find this particular post. I love this one.
There are 6 episodes in the first season. We're about to release the second season, and Sam and Trudy have been amazing. Trudy's come up with all these wonderful segments on it. They've also been a youth producer. They were saying that they went to Columbus, Ohio to work as a youth producer. Sam has been a contributing producer of the podcast. There are 12 young people from all over the United States, and they have so much to say to us. They have so much that they want us to know about their experience. And I think that the greatest thing that we can do with all these people out there talking shit about them, to actually hand them the mic and let them speak for themselves.
Yes.
And when people hear from them, they're like, why would you not want someone to be a Sam Small or, a Trudy Pooks? Why would you not want them to be those people? They're so amazing.
Yes. I want to give flowers to Pat Backley. Pat just wrote that quote on Instagram and I shared it. So Pat says, great discussions. Thank you all so much. I'm learning so much by listening to you all. Pat is joining you from Australia. So Pat is in tomorrow. I think maybe 2 days from now. I don't know how far into the future Pat is. Pat, where are you at this point? But anyway, thank you all so much for coming. Like this has been, you know what? The universe is so unique because in all fairness, if my other 3 co-hostesses were here, we wouldn't have maybe had enough time to hear each of you enough. So I am just so thankful that they're not here, even though they're all listening and joining from everywhere. They're all commenting from everywhere. But I want to say I'm glad that I did it solo because I was able to also have enough, because they would have had more questions, if that makes sense. Like twice the number of questions, and then still 1 hour. So I'm so excited that. And Kim says, I can't wait to see it. And Vicky, y'all are killing me. Vicky says, absolutely, give them the mic. Trans kids, grab the mic. I love it. And then, of course, Kim says the universe is always at work. So, what a day. So, really quickly, we have 10 minutes. I want Celeste to come back and tell us about your project. Tell us, what your needs are, donation, websites, where people can find you and your project, and also about the podcast. I'll let the trans people, gender non-conforming youth, come and tell us what was behind coming up with the podcast and all that. We only have 10 minutes, but
I'll be real quick. The name of the organization that really makes all this happen is called the Future Perfect Project, and we can be found at thefutureperfectproject.org. And the thing that we need is we need you all to listen to these young people. That's it. And to go to our website, you can find all the links to the work that we do. We make animations in which they tell their own stories, the young people. We've produced a couple of albums in which they sing their songs, and we pair them up with producers. And
I saw that.
then when we bring them to New York, and really, they're such a cry from the heart from young people right now. And they have so much to teach us about what it means to be inclusive and to be alive and to be curious. And I think that one of the things that happens to many older people is that we stop being curious.
Yes, we get
and then we don't want to be around young people.
Yes.
We're like, it's too complicated,
yes.
Right? And I think that one of the great joys, as I said earlier, about my life, especially at this point in my life, is to be so curious, not only about them, but about myself. So the only thing that I would ask for is to listen to them, listen to the podcast, really share it with your friends. It's really made for everybody. It's made by young people, for young people, but it's also made for parents and educators and people who care about them.
You said that. And so I'm going to just ask Kim, just because Kim is my little worker bee. Kim is just an amazing human. Kim, please remind me about that podcast? And if you would, could you maybe find it and make a post about it on the Facebook group? We have a bunch of parents on the Facebook group that may want to see this, that may not know that this is in existence. So yeah, Celeste, I see that. Okay, thank you. But yeah, so Kim, could you please do me a favor and just help me with that podcast so we can post it in the Facebook group and have more people learn about it. And yes, and Vicky says, let the children lead. You said it, Dr. Lulu. That's my third TED Talk. I would definitely love to come on your show if you all will have me. I would love to have the Moms for Trans Kids crew come on your show, maybe individually or together. I mean, I want us to be united and work together. I want to make a personal donation on behalf of my practice. It's not a lot of money, but it's definitely what I would like to give. $100 on behalf of the podcast, on behalf of the practice, on behalf of my child, on behalf of the work that I do and the work that I'm going to be doing, and just to keep you all encouraged. And just I love it. I love everything I'm hearing. But we have a few more minutes to go, so I want the youth to come back, maybe starting with Sam, and tell us, why did you decide to be part of the podcast, and where do you see the podcast going? And then Trudy, you can also take the stage with that. And it's just been an amazing hour. My cup is full.
Okay, so if I've learned anything in the past, like year, 2 years, is that I'm a believer in like the universe working.
I think your Wi-Fi. Wait, start again. Start over, because your Wi-Fi is misbehaving.
Sorry. If I've learned anything in the past 2 years, I'm a strong believer in the universe working, and also in like the power of my ancestors. And if I've learned anything in the past 2 years, is that like everything that I've always wanted to do and like prayed and wished I could do, like I've been able to do, and I'm going to be able to do it in ways that I never thought possible. No joke, I promise you, I dreamed when I was in middle school of being in a space like this where I could talk to queer youth. And it's like as a baby, but like I wanted to be able to talk to queer youth because I knew there was so much of my experience that I knew my siblings were feeling and experiencing. And I also knew that because there weren't outlets and there wasn't representation, a lot of the times where we found like education or anything, we learned things were in dangerous spaces. And I wanted to be able to teach or to help. And like, so I was in my senior year of high school, and my director at the time sent me the playbill like application for this. And I was like, oh, like for I'm feeling queer today. And I applied and I sent in some of my writing and some of my poems and my work. And it was literally like packaged exactly what I want to do since I was 10 years old, where I wanted to talk to queer youth and share my experience and relate on experiences. And yeah, so it's I did it because it's what I've always wanted to do, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Amen. And isn't it just amazing how Pat says that they are in tomorrow in New Zealand. Okay, I thought they were in Australia. Same thing to me. But okay. So I do believe in the power of manifestation and how words have power and how, I cannot sit here right now and tell you every single thing I wanted and then some. Like the fact that I moved to Atlanta 7 months ago, and I'll be getting an award by the city of Atlanta and the Black Atlanta Pride and the Trans Life Awards as the Pioneer of the Year next weekend. Like how? But I just came and I just hit the ground running. I'm like, I didn't know that there was such an award. I didn't care one way or the other. So, but I want to give you flowers for just having radical self-belief and going for it. Because that's what you did. You dreamt it, you felt it in your bones, and then the universe moved the chess pieces around, and then boom, there you are. So Trudy, just take us home, Trudy. Take us home. You have been such a delight.
Yeah, I joined, I think originally, my mom had seen the application. Also similar. Yeah, she had seen the application. She was like, referred it to me. And she's like, what are this? I was like, this looks awesome. Let me apply. And then I was so excited when I had gotten in. And I think for me, it felt like once I had joined, something had clicked. And I was like, okay, it's like go time. And I feel like I was like, okay, it's time to create. Like time to come up with ideas, time to do this, time to do that. And I think it gave me a really important outlet, because I think, as Sam has said, like not all spaces for LGBTQ plus like youth are safe or inspiring in the way that it was when I joined that space. Like I think something important is that like trans kids, queer kids, like deserve to be kids and like deserve to have that experience. Like just because they have an identity that maybe is unexpected to some people, it doesn't mean that they don't deserve to have the same privileges of having a real childhood and getting to exist as a kid. And so I think something that I found throughout working with the Future Perfect Project and working on I'm Feeling Queer Today is that it allows LGBTQ plus youth to go to that magical, imaginative space that a lot of kids unfortunately lose when they're LGBTQ plus. Yeah. So for me, I think it was really restorative and a great opportunity to really explore, you know, what my identity means to me, seeing what other people's identities mean to themselves.
I love it. So I'm seeing the link. Is that the link to the podcast? Is that what the link that you shared? So there's the link to the podcast. I'm just going to put that there. It's a very simple link. It's just got some numbers. So HTTPS. Oh, we're losing Sam. Oh, /pod.link the numbers 1726198109 for those who will be listening to the podcast and not watching. But y'all, this has been beyond amazing. We got another quote, one for the road. I like the word indoctrinated because I think socialize is too gentle. And then trans kids and queer kids deserve to be kids. One of the things I say all the time is if you remove the word trans, remove the word queer, remove the word whatever, it is still a child.
Mhm.
It is still a child. And anyway, we just lost Instagram also. Never mind. Anyway, it's been an hour and they're very strict on the Instagram. Once it's 1 hour, they'll take it out. So
Dr. Lulu, thank you so much for your giving us the space and the time and your beautiful attention. I mean, talk about listening as a superpower. You're amazing in your ability to really listen to people and hear their hearts. So thank you for putting it to work for us.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being. Thank you for staying. Thank you for thriving. Thank you for becoming just amazing humans. As a pediatrician, the best part of my job as a pediatrician is seeing my patients grow. And then I became their grand doctor because they brought their own kids to me. That's the best way to say thank you. So with all of my heart, I love all of y'all. Every time I give a talk, I usually end it with the song, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. So thank you all so much for coming. Please come back in a year. Please have us come on your show if you allow adults, because I don't want to come and mess it up if you don't. And may the force in all of its ramifications be with all of y'all. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart on behalf of all parents who need to see this show. I have been doubly, quadruply blessed today by Sam and Trudy and of course Celeste. Thank you for reaching out to me. I love all of y'all. Peace, love, and soul. Y'all listen, Dr. Lulu, I gotta go because I am just so emotional right now just with these kids. The show is called the Moms for Trans Kids podcast. Tell someone about it. Tell one person about it. There's someone in your circle right now who needs to know this because tomorrow their kids are going to tell them that they're queer and they need to thank you for telling them about the podcast today. All right, folks.
Thank you so much. This is so great.
I have no words. Thank you. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Peace, love, and soul.
Bye.
Oh my God. Thank you. Bye, Sam. Thank you so much.